Aloha and good afternoon, everyone. It is Thursday, February 13, 2025, and the time is now 1:04 p.m. Will the Committee on Public Safety and Customer Services meeting please come to order? I'd like to welcome to the committee members who are joining us today. Committee Vice Chair Kia Aina, as well as Councilmember Nishimoto, Councilmember Tolba, and Councilmember Wire. Pursuant to the Hawaii Revised Statute, Section 92-3.7, this meeting will be conducted as a remote meeting by interactive conference technology with the following procedures in effect for the meeting. Members of the public will be allowed to provide oral testimony on all items on the agenda when each item is taken up in two ways, in person in the council chamber and remotely. Before testifying, each person shall state their name for the record and will be limited to a 1-minute presentation on each item. As both English and Hawaiian are official languages of the state of Hawaii, pursuant to Article 15, Section 4 of the Hawaii State Constitution and Sections 1-13 of the Hawaii Revised Statutes, members of the public may testify in either language. For oral testimonies offered in Olelo, Hawaii, additional time as may be necessary will be allowed for the testifier to provide an English translation of their testimony. All persons who have registered to testify in person will be called upon first. When your name is called, please come up to the testifier podium. Persons who have not registered will be given an opportunity to testify following the registered testifiers. After in-person testimony has concluded, I will proceed to remote testimony via video conference or phone. When I call your name, please monitor your screen and follow the prompt to unmute. For those who are joining us by telephone only, please press *9 if you wish to testify, and I will identify you by the last 3 digits of your phone number. Please listen for the prompt to unmute and press *6. Hawaii Revised Statutes, Section 92-3.7 requires that all votes at a remote meeting be conducted by a roll call unless unanimous. Therefore, I will first call for objections, and if there are any, I will call for a roll call vote. When testimonies, including the testifier's address, email address, and phone number, written testimonies, including the testifier's address, email address, and phone number, will be available to the public as described on the posted agenda. As a courtesy, please turn off or silence all cell phones for the duration of this meeting. Thank you. I would like to also welcome to the chamber Council Floor Leader, Councilmember Cordero. Members, moving on to agenda item number 1, Resolution 25-40. This resolution accepts a gift of $14,000 to the city from the deputies to be used for the Honolulu Police Department's Law Enforcement Explorer program. And with us today, okay, we have no one here from HPD, so seeing no one here, we will now proceed with in-person oral testimony in the council chamber. Clerks, do we have any registered or unregistered testifiers in person for this item?
Chair, no registered, but I see Angela Young.
Aloha, good afternoon, Angela.
Aloha, Angela Melody Young, testifying on behalf of CARES and at Miss Honolulu Chinatown 2025 from the Miss Hawaii USA pageant. And my platform is anti-bullying. And this is a locally and nationally and internationally organized pageant for women across countries to come together to raise awareness about mental health for girls and teens. And so bullying and crime are very important things to address. There were a series of events that have happened in schools in the last few years that have prompted bullying mandates to be introduced at the state capitol. And I think while this resolution is good, it should also consider that there should be officers to work with counselors and teachers to raise awareness about bullying, because right now in the Hawaii Revised Statute, it does have a chapter in the DOE section focused on criminal offenses such as petty misdemeanors and property destruction.
Angela, I'm sorry, are you speaking on the measure that we're discussing?
Yes, for officers at schools, right?
This is for the Explorers program?
Oh wait, I was gonna testify in support for Resolution 2530.
Okay, we're on 25-40.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, thank you. Okay, clerks, do we have any registered or non-registered testifiers online?
Chair, there are none.
Okay, seeing no further testifiers, members, we are in discussion. Seeing no further discussion, the chair recommends that Resolution 25-40 be reported out for adoption. Any objections or reservations? Hearing none, so ordered. Moving on to agenda item number 2, Resolution 25-28. This resolution accepts a gift of $8,000 to the city from the deputies to be used to fund the Honolulu Fire Department's scholarship program. I think with us today, I believe I saw Battalion Chief Pao-Chi Wang from the Honolulu Fire Department. Good afternoon, Battalion Chief Wang.
Good afternoon, Committee Chair Okimoto, Vice Chair Kiaina, and committee members. I am Battalion Chief Pao-Chi Wang with the Honolulu Fire Department. The Honolulu Fire Department would like to thank the deputies for this gift of $8,000. Every year, the deputies donate monies to support firefighters with a HFD scholarship program that allows firefighters to pursue higher education. The Honolulu Fire Department would like to thank the deputies for their support.
Thank you, Battalion Chief Wang. Members, are there any questions for HFD? Thank you. Seeing no questions, we will now proceed with in-person oral testimony in the council chamber. Clerks, do we have any registered or non-registered testifiers for this item?
Chair, there are none.
Proceeding now with remote testimony. Clerks, do we have any registered or unregistered remote testifiers for this item?
Chair, there are none.
Okay, members, we are in discussion. Seeing no further discussion, the chair recommends that Resolution 25-28 be reported out for adoption. Any objections or reservations? Hearing none, so ordered. Moving on to agenda item number 3, Resolution 24-47. This resolution accepts a gift of $16,400 to the city from the Honolulu Firefighters Foundation to be used to fund various Honolulu Fire Department events, such as firefighter recruit class graduations, HFD Family Day, etc. And with us again, we have Battalion Chief Pao-Chi Wang from the Honolulu Fire Department.
Again, good afternoon, Committee Chair Okimoto, Vice Chair Kiaina, and committee members. Again, I'm Battalion Chief Pao-Chi Wang with the Honolulu Fire Department. The Honolulu Fire Department would like to thank the Honolulu Firefighters Foundation for this gift of $16,400. Every year, the Honolulu Firefighters Foundation donates monies to support events such as you had alluded to, our recruit class graduations. They support events during Fire Prevention Week, such as the HFD Family Day, blood drives, and other events such as HFD sports tournaments. We would really like to thank the Honolulu Firefighters Foundation for their support.
Thank you, Battalion Chief Wang. Members, are there any questions? I just have a quick one. I was just curious. So with the $16,000, does that cover all that you need to do, or does it cover only portion of it, and then the department has to cover or subsidize it with other funds to do these really great events for the department?
So our community relations office will actually budget these events, and they'll actually itemize it and create an estimate for the Honolulu Firefighters Foundation, and that's how we come up with numbers. We may have other events that we'll budget under my budget, but they definitely help us put on more events.
Okay, thank you. Members, any further questions? Thank you, Battalion Chief Wang. I'd like to welcome to the chamber Councilmember Tupola. Members, will now proceed with in-person oral testimony in the council chamber. Clerks, do we have any registered or unregistered testifiers for this item?
Chair, there are none.
Thank you. Proceeding on with remote testimony, clerks, do we have any registered or unregistered remote testifiers for this item?
Chair, there are none.
Seeing no further testifiers, members, we are in discussion. Seeing no discussion, the chair recommends that Resolution 25-47 be reported out for adoption. Any objections or reservations? Hearing none, so ordered. Moving on to agenda item number 4, Resolution 25-30. This resolution urges the Honolulu Police Department and the State Department of Education to enter into an agreement to assign school resource officers to public high schools. Councilmember Tupola introduced this resolution, and I will defer to her for the explanation.
Thank you so much, Chair, and thank you for listening to this bill today. This is just a resolution. I want to thank Honolulu Police for working actively with me as well as the Department of Education. So despite the resolution, it's actually already starting to move forward. So I wanted to just be really clear on what this is. The School Resource Officer Program exists on all the islands except for ours. So this is not new. Hawaii Island has it, Kauai Island has it, Maui, the county of Maui has it. So as we met with the principal of Maui High School and the sergeant for the School Resource Officer Program on Maui, we were able to partner them up with Nanakuli High School that's had repeated, and I can't even say it might be in the thousands of calls to HPD to their school, whether it's fights, whether it's violence, whether it's threats. And so we really need to be more proactive at this. And the great part about the School Resource Officer Program is that we will not be taking any patrol officers off the road. So thank you to Nola Miyazaki and DHR for working with me on an 89-day contract hire so that we wouldn't be deterring from the police force, but actually getting people in there that are retired officers and or law enforcement. They still need to go through a registration process to actually become certified, because this is a national program across the United States, and this does not have anything to do with metal detectors or arresting kids. It's very proactive. It's much like peer support and what we used to have back in the day when we had DARE. So I'm excited to see this move forward, and of course, thank many people, including Representative Darius Keela, Senator Samantha DeCourt, and as well our community liaison at Nanakuli High School, Kauia Sinsin. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Tupola. Do we have anybody here from HPD for the department? No? Okay. Seeing no one from HPD, we'll now proceed with in-person oral testimony in the council chamber. Clerks, do we have any registered or unregistered testifiers for this item?
Chair, yes, we do.
Good afternoon, Angela.
Aloha, Angela Melody Young, the founder of CARES and the delegate for Miss Honolulu Chinatown 2025 from Miss Hawaii USA, a branch of Miss Universe. It's a locally and nationally, internationally organized pageant supporting women, teens, and girls to help with mental health and positive behavior in classrooms and in life. I do really believe in this resolution. I think it's a good idea. I think the result is to encourage open communication and for conflict resolution, and it can help with a new standard of how students are to relate to each other at DOE public schools, enhance reporting instructions and facilitation procedures for teachers to help raise the bar with basic civil rights for protected classes, such as disabled students, as well as basic civil rights for all students, no matter the gender or ideology or race. I think there should be more integration with DOE.
Thank you, Angela.
Yeah, and we
Thank
have a
you.
bullying bill coming up, so if you could support my bill, that'd be great.
Mahalo. Proceeding on with remote testimony, clerks, do we have any registered or unregistered remote testifiers on this item?
Chair, yes, we do.
Okay. So I believe we have, is it Christina Everett first? No. I have on my list also Shelby Billionaire.
Chair, Shelby's not logged on.
Shelby's not logged on. Okay. Paul Io.
Logged on.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, okay. Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
You can proceed. Maybe you can please identify yourself and please proceed with your testimony.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm Paul Ayo. I reside in the Nanakuli Aha Puaha, the Moku of Waianae. I am currently a resident, but I'm testifying on behalf of our mighty Nanakuli Neighborhood Board, number 36. I'm a member of that board. I'm on the Public Safety Committee as well as the Education Committee. I just want to support that particular bill that Andrea Tupola knows who I am. The only thing I had to add to this is that I'm speaking also as a retired police officer with the HPD, as with King County Sheriff's Department. where we had this program in the state of Washington. So I'm also a retired now law enforcement officer that did SRO duties at various high schools, elementary schools, and middle schools. So I'm aware of the program. I know how the program works. I want to support and endorse this program fully. That's about it. Any questions you might want to ask me, you can go ahead and ask me a question.
Thank you, Mr. Ayo, for your testimony and for your service in our police department. Members, do
Thank
we have
you.
any questions for the testifiers? Councilmember Tupola?
Yeah, not a question. Thank you, Uncle Paul, for being on. And of course, thank you for being such a huge advocate of this. After all these years of public service, you're still doing it, Uncle. You're still in it. So thank you very much for what you do for the neighborhood board and, of course, for the community of Nanakuli. Mahalo, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Tupola. Any further questions for the testifier? No. Thank you again for being on. Clerks, do we have any other remote testifiers on this measure?
Chair, we're trying to get that person, I think it's Christine Ever from
Christina.
Project Nehemiah, but she's not responding.
Okay, Christine, are you on and able to register or log on to testify? Okay. Okay, seeing no further testifiers. Oh, okay. Okay, seeing no further testifiers, we will proceed. Members, before we go on to discussion, I believe we have somebody here from HPD here. If you could come and identify yourself. I have Captain Neil Han on here from the Honolulu Police Department, and we are on Resolution 25-30 as it relates to the as it relates to having assigned school resource officers to public high schools.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Captain Neil Han from the District 8, Kapolei, Ewa Beach, Nanakuli, Waianae area, and I'm here on behalf to speak out this resolution. HPD will always be in favor of anything that provides more safety measures for our public schools, right? So, but we do have some concerns regarding how this thing is going to be manned, who's going to be funding it, just finding the available resources once a lot of the issues will be sorted out, you know what I mean? But 100% HPD is in favor or will support any kind of program that will provide more safety to our public school students.
Thank you, Captain Han. Members, do we have any questions for HPD? Councilmember, Council Vice Chair Wire.
Thank you, Chair. And mahalo the introducer, because I do think we definitely want to prioritize the safety of our youth and, of course, remember all the programming that folks had before. I was just curious, how is this, would this be different from, say, like the law and justice program that the community policing teams do at our schools? Or, I mean, I know that the role is different, but how large is our presence in our public schools right now as a department, as a police department?
Well, as for the Honolulu Police Department, obviously we have community policing team members that are in relations with a lot of the public schools and even the private schools also too. But the manpower shortage that our department is in right now, I mean, for us to allocate a full-time police officer to a dedicated school would be kind of really hard right now. And that's just would be the part, you know what I mean? We work with every public school, private school, whatever it may be, to provide them instructions, classes, and even like attending events and so forth, and just so they understand that HPD will provide every kind of support we can as far as like security measures and so forth.
Okay. And I think I'm asking too, because it sounds like the roles are kind of distinct.
Yeah.
Based on what Councilmember Tupola had mentioned, is it your understanding that it would be purely like 89-day hires, mostly retirees for this particular type of program? Or, and that's in the resolution, right? Because that, in terms of a resource officer, it sounds like a more distinct role than what CPT is doing. Is that?
I believe right now they're looking at every possible measure, whether it be the retiree reserves or hiring somebody after they retire to do some kind of a contract work, whatever it may be, or trying to see whatever available options are out there. You know what I mean? Because like we said, I mean, we're trying everything we can to figure out a way to make this thing happen if we can.
Okay, mahalo. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Sorry, I also want to mention that we do have to get the state involved in this, yeah. Obviously, the Department of Law Enforcement, they are gonna play a pivotal role just because they're the state entity and they're the ones that kind of manage on the state side. They have their security measures, they have their own security programs and all so forth. So definitely we would have to get the state involved in this.
Thank you. Follow-up question?
Yeah.
Sure, go ahead.
Just quickly, Chair. So have you already had, or do you know if the departments had initial conversations with like DLE or anyone at the state or schools in general about this type of program? Like, are they open to engaging in it as well? Or we don't know yet?
Yeah, I don't want to speak on their behalf, especially with the new leadership that's going to be moving in with the Department of Law Enforcement. So further discussions would have to be made with the DLE.
Okay, well, thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Wire. Councilmember Tupola?
Yeah, I just want to clarify some. I appreciate you being here, Captain Han, but these conversations have been for over a year. Assistant Chief Takasaki Young called me yesterday, briefed me on all of it. We have the MOU. DOE is signing the MOU, and it will be between both of them. Major Lampert is involved as the head of the new DLE. So I do want to just make very, very clear, 89-day hire on a regular basis. HPD returns 18 million or more because of you guys' 420 plus vacancy. So there are funds for that. And I do think that deterring these amounts of calls for patrol officers in D8, we cannot have officers responding to calls to the schools when we have other issues going on. So I know that with Major Beckley, who I've briefed on this, that they're looking forward to something that could be a little bit more preventative because the amount of times they have to go up to the school, and this won't be CPT officers again,
Right.
just 89-day hires. So thank you again for being here. And I assure everyone that because this has been over a year and I'm going to Maui in 2 weeks to make sure that I can see it with my own eyes, how they're implementing it, that we're looking forward to starting this at the start of this coming school year.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chair.
And if you don't mind me adding, I actually have a lot of relations with the Department of Education. I actually currently run the active shooter program for the department. So I do have a lot of insight regarding the DOE and what they're doing regarding like active threat events and all that stuff. So yes, 100%, right? We should be supporting this resolution if we can.
Thank you, Councilmember Tupola. Councilmember Cordero?
Thank you, Chair Okimoto. So my question is relating to the current relationships or contracts that HPD has with the DOE. Do they contract it out per event if they need them for special events, or do they also have an MOU or MOA for like a set school year?
So there is no contract with DOE schools, right? It's just event by event basis. Some are requested, so our CPT officers will work certain events if need be. There's athletic events where they do hire special duty officers and so forth. As far as like training or for the teachers, faculty, staff, whatever, maybe all DOE schools have that capability to request any kind of like threat training from our department if they want it. But DOE also does have a contract with a private company that does provide security measures for the DOE.
Okay, well, thank you. I was wondering, because I know that special duty officers, of course, are at a price, and so I thought if there was a contract there, and if not, then they must just pay the special duty officer fees, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Cordero. Okay, see, I had a couple of questions, Captain Han, if that's okay. And I appreciate Councilmember Tupola putting this forward, and I feel I can empathize with the situation that's happening on her side of the island. But if you could explain to me, what would this look like? I came from a teacher background, so I've been on campus. I understand as a teacher and as a parent, you don't have time during the day to be managing as you're teaching and making sure the kids are educated to then care about their safety as an issue. But they do the best that they can. But with these officers on campus, what would it look like? What are they doing? Where are they stationed? Are they wearing uniforms? Do they have space? Are they outside? How are they accessed? And what will be their daily events or responsibilities?
I'm sure there's still a lot of details that still need to be worked out, but I believe the goal of it is to have someone on campus full-time while school is in session. And if it's a contract hire, it will probably be like a retiree who has the capability to carry a firearm if need be. And he'll also provide guidance to school faculty regarding what to do in threats, whatever maybe. Obviously, they'll have a direct communication with the Honolulu Police Department, districts, wherever the DOE school might be. And also, they'll probably give them some information or guides regarding like security like issues that might arise on campus, whatever it may be, and so forth. And obviously, he'll directly have to work with the DLE and also the security department within the DOE to work out issues or programs they're going to implement.
Okay, thank you. So I am familiar with the schools I taught at and have in my district. They have security. So are they walking around with the security who are in plain clothes? Are they in police officer uniform while they have their security weapons on them?
I don't believe so. I don't think that's the goal, right? Because we don't want full-time uniform officers, you know what I mean? Like, I think me personally, I think them being in like regular clothes, right? I think that would be a little bit more effective, yeah? Especially if you're like talking to kids, children, attending meetings and so forth. I think it would be a little bit more effective.
Thank you. And I did understand, we talked about them being contracted. I just wanted to be sure, so when we look at what the picture is gonna look like, what the schools will have. But I look forward to supporting the measure, continuing the discussion. Thank you. Members, any further questions for Captain Han? Okay. Seeing no further discussion, I do want to go back. I believe we do have a testifier who has been logged on from Project Nehemiah Hawaii. Christina Everett, are you still there? I see your hand raised. If you could unmute and you can proceed and identify yourself.
Aloha, can you hear me?
Yes.
Apologize, I'm off island, so I'm trying to get a good location. Thank you, Chair. Thank you for all those who are there. I can't see, but thank you, Andrea Tupola, for spearheading this. Thank you for all the work that you guys are doing. We are a grassroots organization, so we encounter a lot of young people in our program. Just a week and a half ago, we had 2 of our kids that were bullied. No authority figure that was around. It took them a while to respond. So I support this resolution. Authority presence can increase, I would say, increase rates of obedience, where it will, just having that authority presence, it significantly will impact behavior by whether they agree or not, but it will impact them or create in such a way where they will comply with those who are in authority. So we support this resolution, and thank you so much for the opportunity to be able to testify. Mahalo.
Mahalo, Ms. Everett. Members, do we have any questions for the testifier? Seeing no further questions, and before I proceed, I'd like to welcome to the chamber Councilmember Dos Santos Tam. Members, we are now in discussion. Councilmember Tupola.
Yeah, thank you, Chair, and thank you, everyone, for the good questions and HPD for the support. I would say the number one difference between this officer and a regular patrol officer is specifically youth training. These SRO officers have to be very trained in how to deal with youth, child trauma, and be proactive in counseling and working with families so that it doesn't get to the point of an altercation or a violence in school. So we're really looking forward to have it be a preventative measure. In Maui, one of the school resources officers I met is actually also the football coach. So they're actually really in there with the students and an integral part of the administration of the school. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Tupola. Council Vice Chair Wire.
Yeah, no mahalo, Chair. I just wanted to note I'd be supporting the resolution because I do trust our colleague, in terms of what she's had conversations with her community and also with the principals in their particular community as well. And so just acknowledging that it does recognize an importance of having the program island-wide, but specifies specific programs within the district. And so, feel like it's important to support that. I think just outstanding questions for me in terms of if we had a broader discussion as a body. I haven't had this conversation with high schools in our district yet, and so would of course want to be mindful of what those particular principals and those parents would want, and so wouldn't want us to be, pushing something that's not wanted. It sounds like the, Councilmember Tupola's area, they are wanting it, and so that's great. I think in my mind, I think this opens a great conversation about greater investment in mental health services and student support services, even academic and career services. I think SEED, for example, comes to mind, student equity, excellence in diversity at UHC was run by Dr. Amy Agaboyani. Are types of programs that help increase opportunities for our youth. And so, of course, I think having a continued conversation with HPD about what they envision their role being, given this is kind of a newer concept in some ways, I totally understand that it's utilized on other, our neighbor islands. But just want to note that in terms of our community policing team, I know that their programming is tested. It's welcome and appreciated by our community, by our principals, by our teachers, by the youth that participate. And so definitely want to continue to support that and expand that as possible. But really just wanted to share that my support is not asking HPD to go start implementing these types of agreements across our district, because I think each community has maybe specific needs, but recognize the importance of supporting, our colleagues. Mahalo, Chair.
Thank you, Council Vice Chair Wire. Councilmember Kia Aina.
Thank you. I fully support this resolution and appreciate Councilmember Tupola introducing it, not only because of the need and the location, because I agree with her on that. It's not just because it's her district, it's because that's where the need is. But I think more importantly, I support it because as we try to grapple with the 400 plus shortage of our police force, we have to look at innovative ways of retaining those who are retiring. And this is one way of doing that. So I am rooting for this pilot project because it could be extended to other needs within HPD. And I do trust that the leadership as well as our community policing teams will be able to identify in the future other areas that could use 89-day hires. By us increasing these types of projects throughout Oahu, not just in schools, but elsewhere where we will be relieving a lot of the duties of our officers. And so I guess I'm just saying that that's one way of helping our HPD until they're fully ramped up. So thank you again, Councilmember Tupola.
Thank you, Councilmember Kia Aina. Councilmember Toba.
Thank you, Chair. In full support, I would like to see this in elementary and middle schools. I think as a way to, again, it was police officers that kept me off the streets as a young boy growing up in Kalihi Valley. And I think with the right kind of people in the schools, I think it just leads a good example for children. If we're really trying to think about what our police force is going to look like tomorrow, for me, there are just great examples of not only people serving in the community and protecting our community, but just great role models. So thank you, Councilmember Tupola, for introducing this, and I'm cheering you on. I would like to see this expand. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Toba. Any further discussion? I would just like to echo my support of the measure and thank Councilmember Tupola for all. I can tell that you did a lot of background work and not just studying what's necessary for your schools and your district, but going outside. I know I've stated we have such a unique county and city here that we can't always connect to what other counties in the state do, but it is nice when we can find things that other counties are using. I didn't know that we're the only county in the state that doesn't actually have something like this, so that was eye-opening for me. But I think it's important for us to recognize what the needs in our districts are, so thank you for doing that. Fully support this, and hopefully we can see something. And like Councilmember Kia Aina said, well, we're not going to then be adding on more taxing our current HPD that's already having the manpower difficulties. We can then find other ways to support our communities And shout out to I have a really great community policing team in my district as well, so I know they're doing the best. But seeing no further discussion, the chair recommends that Resolution 25-30 be reported out for adoption. Any objections or reservations? Hearing none, so ordered. Moving on to agenda item number 5, Resolution 25-17. This resolution confirms the nomination of Masahiko Kobayashi, MD, PhD, as the medical examiner of the City and County of Honolulu. A public hearing was held on January 29, 2025, and with us today we have Dr. Masahiko Kobayashi, Medical Examiner Designate, Department of the Medical Examiner. Good morning, Dr. Kobayashi. Good afternoon, Dr. Kobayashi.
Good afternoon. Yes. Okay. Should I mention something? Okay. So my name is Masahiko Kobayashi. I'm the medical examiner designate. So my first 5 years, actually, I started from 2019. So my first 5 years, I was really busy on the casework. So I don't think I had enough time to actually improve the operation of our department. But now the interior renovation is completed, and we have great deputy, Dr. Breland. So I think it's time to really improve our operation. So in my second term for the mayor's office, we want to get accredited by National Association of Medical Examiners. And so we want to modernize our operation, and we want to kind of expand our mass fatality plan. So these are kind of 3 things we are currently working on, and we want to continue that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kobayashi. Members, do we have any questions for Dr. Kobayashi? Councilmember Cordero.
Thank you, Chair Okimoto, and thanks for letting me join your committee as a non-voting member. Dr. Kobayashi, of course, you know that ever since we started visiting you when I worked for my predecessor, Joey, that we fully support you, and don't ever say that you don't support your team, because whenever we would visit you and you fighting for like the state of your facilities, that's fighting for your team overall. And so thank you for doing that, and just bringing such light to the work that you do, as well as the tough work that you have. Moving forward, I know that you mentioned that you want to focus on different strategies, and I know you didn't go too much into detail, but were you thinking about like hiring or just filling those long-standing positions that just haven't been filled? Or what were those priorities that you were looking to tap into?
Okay, so we have still vacancy in our forensic pathologist position. It's very, very difficult to fill. Actually, I got application yesterday, so let's see what happens. But I will work on that very hard. Yes, but so application or inquiries sometimes come, then we kind of talk about all the kind of conditions, working conditions, salaries, everything. Yeah, so the salary is always problem. So we offer competitive salaries, but cost of living can really diminish kind of the value. So we continue to work on that with DHR. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Cordero. Any other questions? Councilmember Toba.
Thank you, Chair. President, Director. With the accreditation, you think you would be able to maybe attract more people to work in the facility?
Yes. So accreditation is important for general public and also the professionals. Yes. So for general public, the accreditation can show we are operating kind of in accordance with national standard. But for professionals, they are usually looking for kind of good office to work. So yes.
Why haven't we been accredited?
Okay.
And how long have we not been accredited?
Okay, so this is kind of historical information. So we lost the accreditation 15 years ago. That was before I came here. At that time, the department lost the director, the medical examiner, deputy medical examiner and forensic pathologist. So only kind of 2 doctors on contract are working. So then I joined in 2012. And I was the only one permanent position at that time as a doctor. So at that time, we couldn't get accredited because of the kind of shortage in the doctors. And that continued for a while until recently. So we had a lot of backlogs, kind of including kind of 870 cases from kind of previous administration. So we had to clear all the backlog reports. Then we had a lot of problems in the facility too. And that's also kind of prohibiting the kind of application for the accreditation. And so many kind of problems were cleared actually. So I think it's time. So we can kind of brush up our policies and procedures. Then we are aiming for accreditation in a few years.
Okay, well, good. Congratulations, and I hope you get to that because I think it's a very important department. We talked a lot in the past about, not having something at that standard in case of lawsuits and stuff like that. So good luck.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilmember Toba. Councilmember Tupola.
Thank you. Aloha, medical examiner. Thank you for being here. And I'm glad you said what you just said because I do think that when we first talked 4 years ago, we were all concerned that you weren't safe. I mean, where you guys' offices are and how you have to get to work is fairly dangerous. And I think it's unrealistic sometimes that we put our city workers in these environments, and you really have risen above. I mean, I will say you didn't complain, you didn't gripe, you just kept kind of grinding away and hiring. So I just want to say thank you because I do think that with the limited resources you have, especially facility-wise, you're trying to do amazing work. So I support you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much.
Councilmember Tupola. I just want to, again, thank you. I'm thankful for the time that you had to come and meet with my team and I. And I am happy to hear, I know when you come to us in budget, the concern was personnel, and now we have Dr. Breland who has joined you, so thank you for bringing her on, and hopefully we've asked her to stay as long as she possibly can. You mentioned the pathologist that you just got an application for. We're hoping that turns out to be beneficial for us. But being that, even just in the last couple of months in our city, you've been really, really busy, is it reasonable? Are you still going to be able to maintain the workload with Dr. Breland coming on and hopefully the pathologist that you've been waiting for? Is that still doable?
Even with Dr. Breland, it was very hard. January and February, it's been very, very busy on this our department. So I think we are kind of over capacity, but still we are working on kind of diligently each cases. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Council Vice Chair Wire, you had a question?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. And just want to echo all the sentiments and thank you for all the work you've put into really, modernizing and bringing the department into what it needs to be. And just continue our support, as before, if there's any needs in terms of testimony, increasing salaries to meet market demands, because your department is crucial, and so without it, we would be in a lot of trouble, and I think we all recognize that, so that's good. I was just curious, so is the mass fatality planning a part of the accreditation? Is that what you said?
This is a part of accreditation, yes. So actually, I was a part of federal government team, and I was deployed to the Lahaina fire for 2 weeks, and I saw so many things. So I think I can use the kind of experience. And also, Dr. Breland is in charge of this kind of project. So she brought so many things from Washington, D.C. So I think we are in good shape.
Okay, no, that's great to hear. Did you have any takeaways or experiences or things that you learned from just the COVID-19 pandemic?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Was there anything that you learned serving in this role during the pandemic?
Pandemic, yes. Actually, during the pandemic, we acquired 3 trailers, kind of mortuary trailers. Actually, HFD bought for us, actually. Then, so we used the trailers to kind of store the remains. And now they are in Ibile Center. So we can operate, if we have a mass fatality event, then we can store like 150 bodies in the kind of trailer. And that was from the COVID pandemic time.
Okay. So it sounds like you're saying from that experience, we now have the capacity, at least on the body storage side, to deal with mass fatality events.
Yes.
Okay. No, that's good to hear. Appreciate all the work you're doing, as I stated. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Council Vice Chair Wire. Members, any further questions for Dr. Kobayashi? We're all really grateful for you. Thank you, Dr. Kobayashi. Members, seeing no further questions for Dr. Kobayashi, we'll now proceed with in-person oral testimony in the council chamber. Clerks, do we have any registered or non-registered testifiers for this item?
Chair, there are none.
Thank you. Proceeding on with remote testimony, clerks, do we have any registered or unregistered remote testifiers for this item?
Chair, there are none.
Seeing no testifiers, members, we are in discussion. I just want to echo, and I want to thank, I think Council Vice Chair Wire brought up a point last year when we asked Dr. Kobayashi, if something happens, where's the bench? What if something happens and we need help? And he said right now, at that point, there was no other bench. So we're hopeful that we can help you in supporting your staff so you can get the job that you need to get done, because it is a very important one. So thank you for everything that you and your team are doing. Seeing no further discussion, the chair recommends that Resolution 25-17 be reported out for adoption. Any objections or reservations? Hearing none, so ordered. Moving on to agenda item number 6, Resolution 25-9. This resolution confirms the nomination of Kimberly Hashiro as the Director of Customer Services of the City and County of Honolulu. A public hearing was held on January 29, 2025. Please note that we posted on the agenda a proposed CD1 amendment identified as OCS 2025-0111/2/4/2025 9:46 a.m. and a summary of the amendments was also posted. And with us today, we have Kimberly Hashiro, Director Designate, Department of Customer Services. Good afternoon, Director Designate Hashiro.
Hi, good afternoon. Chair Okimoto, Vice Chair Kiaina, members, Kim Hashiro, Director Designate for the Department of Customer Services. I very much appreciate the time today. I'd like to share with you what the last 4 years has been and what I look forward to hopefully providing for the department in the future. So at the time I joined the department in 2021, we were backlogged significantly with not being able to provide support to the public at the pace it was being requested. Excuse me. And wait times for renewals and transactions at that time, just for an appointment, was about 2 to 3 months. And I'm happy to report today we're down to about 2 weeks. Also for road tests, there was a 4 to 6 month wait at that time, and we're now at about a month. In addition to that, we are also able to continue to provide standby service. So this is intended to offset the no-shows. Unfortunately, even though our appointment system sends out reminders to the public, we do have a significant no-show rate. It's about 20%. And what we do is we offset that by increasing appointments and then also offering standby service during the day. So we fit people in when customers don't appear for their appointment. And then we also have walk-in service at some of our satellites. So these are appointments that don't require, this is service that doesn't require appointments. So the other thing that occurs is we continue to offer Saturday service, and this is on a rotating basis at our driver's license locations. And this is because we recognize that the community, many of the community members work. And so if we continue to provide this Saturday service, at least not all of them will need to take off from work during the day. And then also from a service level standpoint, when a customer checks in, our goal is to actually have them verified of their documents, serviced, and out the door in 20 minutes. That's the goal, and I know it doesn't happen all the time, but when it does and we receive feedback that it occurs, I've gotten many reports of that occurring, and people are very happy, and that is definitely something that we want to continue. Some of the other accomplishments for our department have been implementing a call center. So again, back in 2021, we had 1,500 to 2,000 calls coming in a day relating to driver's license, state ID, motor vehicle registration, and satellite city hall questions. So that has reduced down to about 800 a day, but it's still a significant number. And what we've tried to do is improve, and we've successfully overhauled our website so that it's much easier to navigate, find information. We have a lot of videos posted because we know that's how people learn. They'd rather watch a video, and this is for significant recurring kinds of topics that come up. So we try to do that. We try to make the information very available and very easy to understand and easy to access. The other thing that we did was implement a chatbot, and we're the only department, to my knowledge, that has a chatbot. This was a step in the right direction for the city in terms of technology. And we're working on an artificial intelligence aspect now for this, where the chatbot, while currently it requires data entry for questions and answers, the AI component would enable it to crawl our entire website, obtain information, and provide that back to the customer. So that's a significant improvement for our department. The other thing that we've done is really try to set clear expectations within our department. So our employees, they work very hard. I'm very proud of our managers, supervisors, and employees. It's not an easy job. They work with the public all day, and sometimes the public is not happy with the answer that they receive, but they do their best to always be able to provide options, even if they're not able to do what the customer is asking for. So one way that we've supported our employees is to reclassify and create new classifications that actually more appropriately reflect what they do. So for example, our entry-level recruitment is done primarily at the Customer Service Representative 1 level. That's a new class. It did not exist prior. We were recruiting using senior clerk typists or office assistant types of classifications. And what we really need are people with customer service backgrounds and those who want to service the public all day. And so by utilizing this new classification, it's helped us recruit more appropriately. And I think when people apply for our positions, they understand that they are actually going to work in customer service, and it's reflected in their position title. And lastly, 3 reorgs in our department have occurred in the last 4 years. And I know that you've heard about reorganizations. They do take time. There's a lot that goes into it. And we have successfully implemented 3. This has created an organizational structure that better reflects our operational needs, provides career paths for employees, and fairly compensates them at different levels. We're currently working on 3 other reorgs that I'd like to get done, and that's actually a good segue into the next 4 years and what we're trying to accomplish. But by the time we're done with that, I think the department will appropriately be structured in a way to support service to the community and our operational needs. As far as moving forward, the next 4 years, what I'm hoping to bring to the department is a lot more technology improvements. So we started last December offering online permit testing. So now instead of coming into our office and taking a written test to start your driver's license journey, you can actually do it online. And you can do it at night, on the weekends, and if you pass, you bring in a certificate, we verify your documents, fingerprint, take a photo, and issue your temporary permit. What this does is it takes an appointment that used to be 45 minutes to an hour, and we can actually get it done in about 15. And so the savings generated in time from that is actually going to help us as we plan for and move towards a spike in renewals that we are anticipating in 2026. So we're actually anticipating about a 20% increase in renewals in 2026, a 5% additional increase in 2027, and then it'll drop back down to more normal levels the following year. So there's a lot of improvement that needs to occur prior to that. The other aspect that we're looking at for technology improvements would be online renewals for driver's licensing. So in July of this year, we will have the ability to do this. I've been working with DIT and Brian McKee as the new director designate there. He brings a fresh perspective to the city. We worked together before and are able to collaborate and move forward on a lot of these IT projects that we need to get done. And so online renewals will actually enable people to probably skip, in general, one cycle. They will need to come in. So for an average person who renews their license every 8 years, this means that from a Real ID perspective, documents will still need to be verified in the 16-year window, but we could save on one time at the 8-year mark where that can be done online. And so we're really moving forward and trying to implement that quickly. We want to migrate away from mainframe technology and move into more modern platforms. So when we do implement different systems, we'll be able to integrate and interface more easily. The other thing we're also working on is deploying dashboards. So right now, there's a lot of production data that we compile manually into spreadsheets, and that is what we analyze and use to make business decisions. I'd like to have that be done electronically because we know the data exists in different systems. We just need some way to pull that data and create an electronic dashboard. So those are just some examples of what I'm looking forward to and our department can look forward to providing service to the public in that way. And the last point that I'd like to make is retention. So while CSD has been very aggressively filling positions, what we struggle with is retention. So as I mentioned before, we typically recruit at entry level. And what that does is it provides a salary level that has not been as competitive as we need it to be. So we're working with DHR on that. Nola Miyazaki has been very supportive and helpful. We're trying to look at different mechanisms to enable us to try to expand our recruitment activities and strategies. In addition to that, from a retention standpoint, as much as possible in our department, I've tried to maximize the existing programs with flex time, 410 alternate work schedules, telework. For those employees that can have a non-standard work schedule, I think that what this does is it brings a work-life balance that helps them and hopefully increases retention. And at that's what I'm looking forward to for the department, and I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Director Designate Hashiro. Members, do we have any questions? Yes, Committee Vice Chair Kia Aina, and then followed by Councilmember Tupola.
Thank you. Director, first of all, on behalf of the my constituents on the windward side, I wanted to mahalo you for the efficiency and effectiveness of the Windward City Satellite Hall. And as someone who has been in there personally a couple of times, where we had different people out front who was hosting, I just found it a very hospitable place to go to. And, you know, all these complaints that maybe have happened in previous years where lines were long and there was just backlog, it's no longer there. And, you know, so I just wanted to say mahalo for that. When I talked to you, I talked about chickens and I talked about abandoned vehicles, and I'm kind of maxed out on chickens this week because I talked about chickens on Sunday with constituents and yesterday. So I'm only going to talk about abandoned vehicles because you have a very important job with regard to contracts. And I also spoke to HPD recently, so I'm trying to better understand exactly where is the towing contract. Is it with you now and is supposed to go to HPD? Because I'm a little concerned about that because it's an important service for our community. And so after I wanted you to think that if it's kind of in limbo, perhaps the Department of Transportation Services might be the appropriate entity. So can you opine on where we are on the abandoned vehicle contract and what is going on with regard to this tug of war on where it's supposed to be?
Okay. The current status of the towing contract is that CSD manages the entire contract, and there are two primary functions of that contract. One is for CSD, abandoned and derelict vehicle tows. That is what CSD is responsible for doing, and that is part of the contract. The other part of the contract is HPD tows. So this would be for any emergency or trying to clear a road type of need, and that is what HPD requires from this contract. But this current contract is combined. It is under CSD, and the reason why we have talked about separating the contract, and this contract has a long history. Apparently, it's been separate before and combined and separate, and so part of the challenge for CSD is that we, as managing the contract and overseeing the contract, is not at a detailed level familiar with what HPD's needs are. And managing the contract from a contract compliance standpoint is very difficult for us because HPD is the one that knows what services they need and at what level. And if there are any issues regarding that, that is something that I think that the subject matter expert should actually be responsible for. So that's the structure of the contract. As far as where it's at now, there are challenges regarding the actual management and execution of the contract that we're working through now. And so that is where we're at right now, and we're still continuing to work through it.
Does that include parking enforcement tows?
Yes, for HPD.
Okay, and so you don't see a role for the Department of Transportation Services in any of this?
No, actually, I'm very open to that. I think that that is something that if DTS and administration are open to, that we can definitely have a conversation about that. So you're thinking that it would be 3 entities where?
Well, I don't know. I guess, first of all, I wanted to be educated on what was going on. I didn't understand the bifurcation of it, but because I guess I've always been interested in a parking enforcement unit outside of HPD so that we could free them up for other priorities, that it should be better suited somewhere. And I guess I'm thinking along those lines with that newly established parking enforcement unit, they take the towing contract for parking enforcement. So I don't know, maybe more dialogue, but thank you. I didn't know that you guys, it was different types of abandoned vehicles, so thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Kiaina. Councilmember Tupola.
Thank you. Aloha, Director. Thank you for being here. Just wanted to make a few comments. My favorite part about whenever you talk to me is that it's always data-driven. You're always giving me metrics, analysis of what's getting better at what point in time. And I kind of wanted to highlight that because I think every department has some facet of DIT or technology that they need to improve, but you've done it on your own. I mean, I know you have a lot of people helping you, but what I mean is that you've actually proactively done a lot of these things, which is what we need. Efficiency within the departments, and especially the department that's called customer services. That's the department where it has to be the most efficient and the most friendly. So I just wanted to congratulate you on that. And of course, all the hauling and abandoned car stuff that we've done together, your department is great. They work with me directly. You allow me to work with, your lower level guys directly so that we can just get stuff done in the community. I've had a great success rate with working with your employees for the things that we need, whether they be IDs for homeless or abandoned cars on the road. So thank you for your hard work and for paying attention to so many different things, from filling vacancies to improving technologies to making processes more efficient. Bravo. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Tupola. Councilmember Cordero.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair Okimoto. Thank you, Director Hashiro, for everything, seriously. Just like the rest of my colleagues mentioned about how welcoming your team has been, but especially the efficiencies, and I'm very curious as to see what the other 3 reorganizations you're going to be doing or seeing through in your department will be. And I know you probably don't need to go into those specifics, but I was just wondering if that's reducing, what is it reducing? What is the goal with those 3 reorganizations?
So
And you don't have to be so specific if you don't want to.
Okay, but just generally, what the 3 entail is the first would be for DMV. So that is our largest division in our department, and we've actually broken up the reorg into 3 phases. We finished the first. We're working on the second, which is primarily focused on driver licensing. And what I see as an inequity in driver licensing is that we have relatively low-level employees managing a very complex operation with daily interaction with difficult customers or challenging situations. And really what's happening is many of them have had a career path in driver's licensing where they go from an entry-level clerk at SR10, they get reallocated up to an 11, sometimes promoted to a 13 or a 15 in other sections, but the supervisor is only a SR16 right now. And a lot of times from a recruitment standpoint, that is a deterrent for senior employees, especially already at the 15 level, to take on that much additional responsibility just for one step up to a 16. So that is going to be part of our proposal. We have started working with DHR and BFS on that. The second phase of the DMV reorg, which would be the second reorg, is for motor vehicle registration. So this unit is a unit that generates all the motor vehicle registrations for the island. We have some very senior employees there, and we also have some very antiquated systems. There are IT systems that we need to upgrade. We've tried to do things like implement a online electric system for registration for dealers. So Servco is currently using that system, and we're working with other dealers to try to get them onto that system also. But that organizational structure hasn't changed in probably, I want to say, decades. And so it really is time to look at that and to not have, they have 3 units or sections right now, and we're looking to cross-train employees more so that when we have needs in one area, we can shift resources. And that's really what the reorgs are about, is maximizing resources in our department. What I've tried to do in our department is request reactivation of deactivated positions, swapping deactivated positions, trying to reallocate and redescribe positions to what we need today. And BFS has been very supportive, DHR has been very supportive in that effort. Of course, we have to justify what we're trying to accomplish, but it is all about that. That is the primary focus. And the third reorg is actually for our public communications division. So this division has really grown and evolved into a division that is truly supporting at a very active, detailed level our other divisions as well as other city departments. And so this level of commitment and detailed work with them requires a reorg to create units that better support what we're trying to accomplish. So one of the units in PC division is customer care. I think I've talked to you about this group. They're a 3-person group that answers citywide inquiries and complaints. What we're going to do is, as I mentioned earlier about our call center, trying to bring down the volume with AI, we want to get it to a point where we can actually maintain that service in-house. So in order to do that, we've actually started working on repurposing existing positions to help us accomplish that. And by the time this year is done, we will have increased the 3-person unit to 6 without adding any new positions, just really trying to move resources around, reclassify them, recruit, train, and get them to work in areas where we need help. And ultimately, it's to provide better service to the public.
Thank you, Director. Seriously, Councilmember DePola mentioned, asked Director Albano about his secret sauce to hiring 100 people yesterday, but I guess you had the secret sauce for not adding more positions, just reallocating resources and reactivating and reassessing different positions so that you kind of maintain within the amount of resources you have allotted. So thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Council Floor Leader Cordero. Members, any further questions? Councilmember Wire?
Thank you, Chair. Mahalo, Director, for all the work you're doing. I really don't have too many questions because I think, your department is on it, you're on it. Appreciate all the work you're doing in streamlining, modernizing. I forgot to ask in our meeting about the kiosk that was coming. Do we have any updates on that, or is it still pending?
Yeah, so they're still assessing additional kiosks for the motor vehicle registration program. What is occurring is that our vendor needs to do an assessment of what the volume is in the area and actually find a location that would increase that. But that is an ongoing program. We want to try to expand kiosk locations wherever possible. And so we continue to work with our vendor in that effort.
Okay, so we don't have any timelines for rollouts yet?
Not
or
at this time.
Additional? No, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Council Vice Chair Wire. Members, any further questions? No further questions. Thank you, Director-Designate Hashiro. We will now proceed with in-person oral testimony in the council chamber. Clerks, do we have any registered or unregistered testifiers for this item?
Chair, there are none.
Thank you. Proceeding on with remote testimony. Clerks, do we have any registered or unregistered remote testifiers for this item?
Chair, there are none.
Seeing no testifiers, members, we are in discussion. I'd just like to echo the mahalos from everybody, from my colleagues here, and thank Director-Designate Hashiro. Thank you for coming to my office and answering. You remember the questions that I had from the previous year, so thank you for doing that. And I want to encourage you to continue to do what you can for the districts. We know that most people who come to the DMVs and satellite city halls are not always the happiest of customers, so thank you for doing what you can to make them happy. Seeing no further discussion, the chair recommends that Resolution 25-9 be amended to the posted proposed CD1 identified as OCS 2025-0111. Any objections or reservations? Hearing none, the resolution is amended to CD1. The chair then recommends that Resolution 25-9 CD1 be reported out for adoption. Any objections or reservations? Hearing none, so ordered. Members, before we move on to the next item on the agenda, I'd just like to make a quick announcement for the public. The Committee on Innovation, Technology, and Entertainment will convene once this committee has finished. And I want to mahalo the committee chair, Councilmember Tobal, for being flexible. Moving on to agenda item number 7, Resolution 25-11. This resolution confirms the nomination of James Ireland, MD, as the Director of Emergency Services of the City and County of Honolulu. A public hearing was held on January 29, 2025. And with us today, we have Dr. James Ireland, Director-Designate, Honolulu Emergency Services Department.
Thank you, Chair. James Ireland, Director-Designate, Honolulu Emergency Services Department. Thank you for allowing me to testify today. When I came into this position 4 years ago, the challenges in EMS were essentially staffing, budget always, and closures. And I wanted to give you just a snapshot in some of the progress that I've made with our team, we've made in those 4 years. So when I look at, got data back from January of 2023, we had about 11.4% daily ambulance closure rate, and very roughly with 21 ambulances, that comes to about 2 per day. So when I came in, one of the first things I did is contracted with the private ambulance to supplement our operations to mitigate that effect of 2 city ambulances being down. So we brought in initially 2 ambulances a day, and then later 3 ambulances a day. Now, when we were still under state contract, we did have to pay for that. Since we are no longer under state contract, we no longer have to pay for that, those ambulances. So that was in January of 2023. In January of 2024, we had that number down reduced from 11.4% to 7.4%. And on average, that's approximately 1 ambulance a day. Again, we had the contracted 3 AMR ambulances a day. Now, fast forward to last month, January of 2025, the closure rate is 6.6%, so an improvement from the previous year. Again, that's about 1 per day. But now we have 3 to 4 surplus ambulances added a day. 2 of those are surge city ambulances, and 1 to 2 of those are provided by American Medical Response. So We still have the challenges of our base station ambulances closing, but we've more than mitigated it with the added service hours. So almost every day we're having more service hours provided than our base ambulances. Now, part of that is tied to staffing. And one of the things is previously we generally would only hire people who were graduates of KCC, occasionally people coming from the mainland with equivalent certification we would hire, but the vast majority were through KCC. KCC has an excellent program, but we just weren't getting enough from them. And people do leave EMS. They leave to go to nursing, they leave to go to the fire department, they find that just medical care and healthcare is not for them, so they go do other things. So just because we hire 30 or 40 people a year doesn't mean we keep them all. So one of the things we did over the last 4 years is we've started our own EMS Academy, just like the police runs, the fire department, and ocean safety. So we will start our 5th EMS Academy in July of this year. Now, when I look back, just some snapshots of some vacancies, the snapshot from last year, we had 56 vacancies in our department, not counting ocean safety. And then this year in the snapshot, we have 40 vacancies. So we went from 56 to 40. But I just hired 20 people yesterday, mostly graduates of KCC. So that will go against that 40. We also have selected 24 people to start our own EMS Academy in July. So really, we've just hired 44 people against 40 vacancies, but we do know between now and July, we will get some retirements and people may leave. Those recruits that will start in July will finish in December of this year. So we have actually more people than we need in the queue. We're hoping when we come back to this body for the snapshot in a year, we're going to be significantly lower than 40, whether it's 20, 10, 5, I don't know. But I do like the trend, and we have the lowest vacancy rate that we have that anybody can remember. And I think that will be reflective in increasing service and service expansion. The other thing I wanted to mention is you know, the state handed over EMS the responsibility of funding it and doing our own billing over a 4-year period, 3-year period. I think now our billing is in steady state. When I looked at the billing collections for December of this year, just a few months ago, it was at $3.1 million for the month. So if you multiply that out for a year, that's about $37 million. And we do get $3.5 million every year from the state from driver's license registration fees. So the $37 million for billing plus the $3.5 million comes to right around $40,700,000. Our EMS budget that we're going to be presenting to the Budget Committee shortly for EMS, not the department, but for EMS is $40,300,000 against potentially $40,700,000 in collections. So I'm comfortable where we are. We do have some proposed ordinance and some suggestions for revenue enhancement that will come before this body probably in the next few months. We feel there's things we're doing that we're not billing for, that we could bill for and other jurisdictions bill for, that could generate anywhere from $2 on the conservative side to maybe $6 million on the more aggressive side, $1 million a year additionally to the $37 million we're collecting, plus the 3.5 that the state gives us every year. We've had our challenges. I know there's a resolution to look at a merger with the fire department. And I look forward to continuing to grow EMS, to continue serving the public, whatever model makes sense, both with respect to the service delivery and the workforce. Again, thank you for this time today. I'm available for questions if you have any.
Thank you, Director Ireland, Director Designate Ireland. Members, just to, before you go to questions, I know we've had some testifiers waiting online, so I would like to take the testifiers first, and then we'll go to questions with your patience. So let's see if I can get that. So that being said, we'll now proceed with in-person oral testimony in the council chamber. Clerks, do we have any registered or non-registered testifiers for this item?
Chair, yes, we do.
In person, I have Laurie Grace. Is Laurie Grace here? Aloha, good afternoon. If you could just come to the podium and turn the on button and then state your name for the record and proceed with your testimony.
Check, check, check. Good afternoon, Chair Val Okimoto. Props to you. You represent my area, Mililani, and co-chair. I'm here to speak about the opposition of Director Jim Ireland and Deputy Director Ian Santee for the reappointment of EMS. I have worked in EMS for 33 years. I have been through multiple directors, years with Deputy Director Santee. And I'm submitting testimony today to firmly oppose it, the reappointment of Dr. Ireland. The dedicated men and women who serve in our communities are highly committed to their roles, often putting their lives on the line to ensure public safety. However, even the skilled and most dedicated need support, or their productivity and effectiveness decline. They deserve better, and so do the people of Honolulu. Under Director Ireland and Deputy Director Santee's leadership, EMS and its service to the public have deteriorated significantly, with the daily closures of EMS units due to staffing shortages, the turnover loss of personnel, and the dependency on AMR and military EMS to make up for the lack of coverage are some of the main reasons the current leadership has failed. There have been continued and clear lack of commitment to and prioritization of the recruitment and retention of essential EMS personnel. Moreover, the prioritization of personal agendas over the core mission of EMS has caused morale to plummet in their tenure. Personnel are actively seeking employment elsewhere due to the toxic work environment and favoritism. This culture has led to personnel to quiet quit, where employees disengage while remaining on the job, and a continued exodus of skilled personnel in search of better career opportunities. Additionally, the preferred selection and reassignment of qualified personnel off the road to developing positions of expansion further affect multiple closures of EMS units, resulting in the significant delays of all 911 responses. This misallocation of resources undermines the efficiency and effectiveness of EMS services, further endangering public safety. There have also been instances of selective targeting of personnel who do not align with the current leadership views. This has resulted in the misuse of taxpayers' dollars for personal vendettas and unwarranted investigations against employees who otherwise are competent and dedicated. Such actions are an abuse of power and further erodes trust and morale within the department, discouraging good employees from continuing on with their service. HSD and the people of Honolulu deserve a qualified director and deputy director to lead and serve. Any appointee who uses their position for self-promotion undermines the integrity of HSD and does a disservice to the people of Oahu. The inability to address or prioritize the needs of HSD personnel, and more importantly, the people of Oahu, compromises 911 service that is so critical to our infrastructure. This reappointment is important. It affects your constituents for 4 years who have unknowingly been underserved, so to speak. Respectfully, this committee has to ensure that HESD has competent leadership that serves the people of Honolulu, so that when they dial 911 at the worst moment of their lives, there's someone coming to help them in a quick response and not delayed.
Thank you, Ms. Gracie. If you could wrap up, just so I can make sure I give everybody who came respectful time.
So
Thank
here
you.
we go. In closing, I am available for questions. And I have certificates and receipts for everything I've testified to today. In regards to Dr. Ireland's telling you prior that we've caught up and we've caught up with our employees, no. The ALS service for each ambulance unit, which is one paramedic and one EMT, that you expect when you call 911, is not there. You may get 2 EMTs, but it keeps up with the number of non-closures. It qualifies it. But your constituents, the people of Honolulu, don't know who's coming to their house. Is it an ALS, Advanced Life Support Ambulance, or is it 2 EMTs to prevent a coverage just for somebody to show up? That's the concern of this committee. That's the service that our people are getting. But the numbers look good. Respectfully, yeah, I'm done.
Thank you, Ms. Grace. Members, do we have any questions for the testifier? Yes, Councilmember Tupola.
Thank you, Chair. I'll be brief. Thank you for, being brave and sharing your thoughts on this. That's what we want. We want good dialogue. We want good feedback. My quick and brief question, because, our public safety chair submitted a resolution with these very concerns, which is we're dangerously understaffed to the point that we need to address it. One of my concerns was that we have this group called CORE, which I appreciate, but I feel it gets an auxiliary to what really needs to happen. And I was concerned that if we're starting to lose the core services, that we have to kind of peel off of any fun, additional, unnecessary, and pull those down. Is that the feeling within EMS, or is that something that is just totally separate? I was always concerned that it's getting bigger and bigger.
Okay, that's a big question. CORE has its role in the community. It should have its role, but it shouldn't be taken and made into something from the 911 reliever pool.
Right.
Okay? Because now the people who call 911, the reliever pool is down because they're going to CORE. When you spread resources laterally instead of building up the 911 system, we're short 15 ambulances for our population.
Yeah.
So the personnel are putting blood, sweat, and tears, spit, tape, and glue to keep it together, but our administration is relocating resources to other less priority needs in HESD, and that affects the public.
Thank you. Thank you for your response. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Tupola. Members, any other questions for the testifier? I had a couple of questions.
Sure.
And these are questions I've asked along the way because someone like me, I don't have the medical background that you guys have. And so I've had to learn ALS, BLS, and things that we don't normally talk about, because I have asked multiple times since in this position about closures and how it affects the response times to our communities. Yes. So could you explain to us the difference between a BLS call and an ALS call, and how you mentioned sometimes we might be getting 2 EMTs versus an EMT and a paramedic?
Well, I'm sure Dr. Ireland can explain the difference between the EMT units that he staffs instead of closing a unit. But basically, in answer to your question, advanced life support, they do all the invasive. They give all the medications. They do all the skills. So let's say you call 911 for a heart attack or a seizure, and an advanced life support unit shows up. They can give you the medication and the oral airway support you may need, extensive, just like an emergency room. They have all the medications, they have all the skills that they do in the emergency room. The EMT, basic life support, is basic. So they don't give medications, they don't do advanced airway precautions. They're basically BLS. You can't get to a paramedic without being an EMT first. However, their ceiling knowledge of recognizing medical emergencies is not there yet. So they're gonna get there, they'll take your vital signs and run you to the hospital, kind of like the Uber. A little more advanced than an Uber, but kind of like just running you to the hospital. 911 is for advanced life support. They're the ones that can make a difference. They can diagnose and turn somebody around when they're having a massive MI, determining what is the most appropriate definitive care facility, and not just running to the nearest hospital.
And just a quick follow-up, in your experience, because I know that I could ask for statistics, but from your experience, how many of the calls that you're getting are ALS versus BLS?
Well, I'm not working right now, but I would say that I would say, honestly, I would say 20% are critical. 80% are either serious or minor. I don't have the stats in front of me, but the reality is, who cares when you call 911 and your loved one is critical? You want that ambulance there within 8 minutes.
And in your experience, how long has it taken in general? Because I've asked about wait times as well. So,
Well, let me put it this way. So we have 3 units, Wahiawa, let's say Waipio and Waipahu are all next to each other. If Waipahu and Wahiawa are closed due to staffing shortage, that one unit, Waipio, is covering all of Wahiawa, all of Waipahu, and their area. So if they're on a call, the next ambulance is Makakilo or Eva Beach or somewhere that's far away. If
okay.
they're not on calls, which we are busy.
Thank you. Thank you for answering. Members, any further questions? I do want to mahalo. In reading the testimonies, I know that it's, the one theme I heard repeatedly was fear of retaliation. So I know it's a lot to come out and speak.
Yeah,
you know, what you
I think
shared.
that's the reason that there was a lot of submittal for opposing that didn't show up here today.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate what this committee's doing. Aloha, take care, be safe.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, do we have any further testifiers who are registered? On my list, I have Jonathan Lee in person. And if there's anyone else who would like to testify, please come forward.
Good afternoon, Committee Chair, Vice Chair, and the rest of the committee. My name's Jonathan Lee. I'm a nationally registered EMT paramedic, state licensed EMT paramedic. I worked for Honolulu EMS for 33 years. I worked for the state of Hawaii at Hawaii State Hospital for 4 years. In my time in EMS, I've seen good leadership, good administrations. I've seen average, and I've seen poor, and right now this is the worst it's ever been. Dr. Ireland puts up stats and numbers on paper. It looks good. The reality is that's not happening in the field. Echoing what Ms. Grace said, that it looks like every unit is open, but there could be 3 or 4 of those ambulance units that are open that are basic life support. And she went over the reasons why that's dangerous to the public. I submitted a written testimony as well that basically covers what I had to say today. But I would just like to reiterate that James Ireland has had 4 years to turn this department around and move it forward. And the only thing he's done is moved it backwards and laterally. He has shown little to no leadership ability. There's definitely a no confidence feeling within the field personnel. And it is my recommendation that he not be reappointed, and that it's time for HESD to have new leadership with a clear vision, feasible plans to move forward, that the entire department understands where it's going and how it's going to get there. I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Members, do we have any questions for the testifier? I just had a quick question. Are you currently still employed?
I am not currently
You're
employed.
not currently, okay. But you were with the department for
I was with the department for 33 years, yes.
Do you mind if I ask when you were no longer, you retired? I'm assuming you retired.
I'm retired status now, yes.
Okay.
I left in February of last year.
Of last year. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Members, do we have any further questions for the testifier? Okay, thank you. Is there anyone here, anyone else in person who would like to testify? Seeing none, I believe we have one person online who is registered to testify, and if anyone else is online that would like to testify, please indicate by raising your hand. I have on my list Mr. Eddie Fujioka. Eddie, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, please proceed.
Good afternoon, Chair Okimoto and members of the Public Safety Committee. I'm here to testify in opposition of the reappointment of Dr. Ireland as Director of Emergency Services. I've never testified against a director before, but I felt it was my responsibility to come forward to oppose his nomination. I spoken to some other retired district chiefs, all younger than me, that have left. I asked them to say something, and they said they don't want to get involved, that they're putting EMS behind them, and they want to move on with their life. So I've been in contact with some current employees and decided to come forward because if I don't say anything, nothing will change. I've submitted written testimony, which I'll stand by. I've heard Laurie Graves and John Lee testify, and I agree with everything that they're saying. I also like to say that EMS has not progressed forward. Everyone else has, police, fire. Nothing has changed with the delivery of service with EMS. There's no strategic action plan that employees can look at. No one knows what direction the department is going. One of the current employees, when I asked them about an issue, what is the plan? They said, it's top secret. And I said, what do you mean it's top secret? They said that it's so top secret that Dr. Ireland and Deputy Santi don't even know what it is. And that's a clear indication that morale is really bad at EMS. One thing that I was disappointed in was this council approved the mental health and wellness resolution for first responders that the director and the mayor's office was supposed to develop. And as far as I know, there's been no measurable progress in it. I know my time is limited, so I'll end my testimony, but I'll be here for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Fujioka. Before I proceed with questions for the testifier, I'd like to recognize and welcome to the chamber Council Chair Waters. Members, do we have any questions for the testifier? I'd like to just follow up. I know you've come to us before in a previous hearing. If you could just state I know your testimony did state it. You were employed for how long in the department?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was a certified medic for 42 plus years with EMS, a total of 45 in the EMS field. I'm currently the finance chair for the state 911 board, and I'm on a working group under DAGS to build a first responder memorial.
Thank you. And how long ago did you depart or retire from the department?
I retired July 1st of 2022.
Okay, thank you. Seeing no further questions for the testifier, I do see we have a couple of hands online. I see a Christopher Sloman, and then I see a phone number ending with 175. I'll go with Mr. Sloman first. If you could just unmute and then state your name for the record before you proceed with your testimony.
Hi, good afternoon. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay. My name is Christopher Sloman. I'm the former Assistant Chief of Operations for Honolulu EMS. I had an opportunity to read all of the written testimony, and I sure thought that there were a lot of consistent themes that came through all of that and from the different perspectives. And I don't think there's really a reason for me to stand here and berate it, but I felt like I should at least make myself available to the council and council members if they had any questions.
Thank you. And I was able to read other testimonies as well, but for those who may not, maybe you could share. So you had also how many years in the department, and when did you leave? And maybe you could share for what reasons.
I was with the department from 2015 until 2023. And I was officially the Assistant Chief of Operations for the entire time. And then I was the acting chief of the division from January, I believe, of 2020 through the first year and a half of COVID until Director Ireland was hired as the chief of EMS a year and a half after. And I left because of the toxic working conditions under Dr. Ireland.
Okay, thank you. So just to clarify, you were assistant chief prior to Dr. Ireland?
Correct.
And then, okay. And then you chose to, okay, thank you. Members, do we have any questions for the testifier? Any further questions? Okay, thank you for being online, Mr. Sloman. I see a phone number ending in 175 with a hand up.
Yeah, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, if you could just please be sure to identify yourself and then proceed.
Yes. Good afternoon. My name is Tim Gary. In lieu of the article in Civil Beat today regarding the cool holidays run by the state and the negative article in audit. My concern is core, and I am worried about the cost and the success of core. I implore the council to have an audit of core and see if we're getting our bang for our buck. In other aspects of our homeless initiatives, it looks like we're not doing that well. I would appreciate the council following up. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim, for being online, and we will make note of that. Members, any questions for the testifier? Okay, seeing no further testifiers, members will now proceed with questions. I'd like to start the questions off if that's okay, and then I'll turn it over to the members. And I'll start with Dr. Ireland, and I do have some questions for the medical, for the MD. I see Deputy Director here, Deputy Managing Director here. So Dr. Ireland, you know, I've met with you multiple times, and I did have questions up front from 2 years ago on closures, and it started really because I saw news stories, and so I came to you with questions, as well as Deputy Director Santi. And over the years, I have heard conflicting things, and but I trusted what you shared and took it, you know, at face value. I would still like to have clarifications. I will say that the testimonies that were submitted were very eye-opening and, to me, concerning. So I want to start with that. I'm going to follow up on the meeting. I did ask, and I continue to ask, and I'm concerned because I hear numbers and I'm shown papers, and I don't know what the reality is when it comes to closures, response times, and also with collections. You mentioned that the state gave it over to you. Is that what happened? The state just handed it over? I mean, I've had questions. It's not new. I've come to you. We've met personally. We've met in public about these things. But hearing the testimonies, it's pretty alarming to me what's being stated.
Well, first of all, just to address the testimony about ALS versus BLS, 40% of our calls are BLS. And so when you're sending an ALS ambulance to a BLS call, you're actually sending more service than you need. We have a system in our dispatch center, ProQA. It's a nationally recognized system where the dispatcher queries the caller. And depending on what that caller says and the complaint, we have 4 options. For the most critical calls, we send an ALS ambulance and the fire department. And that's because the patient may need bleeding control, defibrillation, oxygen, and there's a lot more fire engines and fire trucks on Oahu than there are ambulances. So just statistically, they can probably get there faster. So that's the most critical call. The tier under that, we send just an ALS ambulance with lights and sirens without the fire department. The tier under that, we send a BLS ambulance with lights and sirens. And the tier under that, we send an ALS or BLS ambulance with no lights and sirens. So there are many systems across the country, Boston being one of them, where the majority of the ambulances are BLS, the majority in the system. Whereas in our system, we're talking about 21 ALS and 2 BLS as the surge ambulances. And there are some times when, in lieu of closing an ambulance, we will make it BLS instead of ALS. We have generally four supervisors on island at any time. They are also all paramedics. We also will have 1 or 2 response SUVs on every day with paramedics. And so if we do send a BLS ambulance to a call that turns out to be ALS, there are options for the dispatcher to send a paramedic with that BLS ambulance in another vehicle, whether it's a supervisor or rapid response. So having BLS ambulances in a system is actually a healthy mix of using the right resources for the right call. And there's lots of different ways to do that. And there's lots of different models across the country. As far as the revenue, the state did the transfer, I believe, by statute. The legislature did that. transferred because it was in statute that the states would fund EMS for the 4 counties. But I think the way the statute read is any county with more than 500,000 people would be transferred to the county. There was a scaled decrease in funding while we collected all the billing. But at this point now, here 3 or 4 years later, the way that is from the state, we get $3.5 million a year. This fiscal year, we also got an additional $500,000 to help cover shortfalls in an increased call volume in the Wahiawa, Mililani area due to the closure of Wahiawa Hospital. So this year we got $3.5 million plus $500,000 on top of our regular city budget, and then we do keep all of our billing.
So thank you for sharing, explaining that. So just to be clear, you said 40% BLS, so the 60% are ALS calls, based on what you just told me?
Correct.
Okay, the majority. Okay, and out of those, if the majority of them are ALS calls, are we equipped to then address the 60% of the calls with paramedics and EMTs, or are they going out, as stated, as 2 EMTs and then waiting for a paramedic to come? What's the percentage? What's the statistics on that?
I think it depends on the situation. So I'll just give you an example. There might be a call in the downtown area, let's just say Bishop Street, and it's a stroke. Generally, that would be an ALS call. A paramedic would come, they'd put them on the heart monitor, they would start an IV. That's the general care for someone with a stroke. And then you'd take them to a stroke center, and I'm just going to use the example of Queens. Now, if the situation where the BLS ambulance was on Bishop Street and the nearest ALS assistance.
Sorry, Director Designate, I just wanted to know if you have statistics on it. I know you can paint me pictures, but just to respect everybody's time, do we have numbers on, you gave me statistics on 40% to 60%. Do we have numbers on how many of the calls, the 60% that are ALS, are being addressed with paramedics and EMTs there, or how many of them are being addressed with EMTs only? And if you don't have it, I would respectfully ask for you to provide that either to me or in our next meeting. Yeah.
I think we could get that, yes.
Thank you. I did have a couple of other questions, but members, I will turn it over to you guys right now, and I will turn back to me. Yes, Councilmember, Councilor Florida Cordero.
Sorry, you can let your voting members ask first. Sorry.
Okay. Councilmember Tupola. Anybody else? Oh, well, I think
I'm also not a voting member, so
okay.
When they're done, thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Florida Cordero.
Okay, thank you. Hi, Director Ireland. Okay, well, first off, before I move on to that testimony first, or those things that have been brought up, I do want to bring up the mentioning of the collections as well as receiving the ambulatory services from the state. And I understand that you mentioned that it's not just a trend, but all the counties were moving towards receiving that responsibility. You said that, correct?
No, I don't. It's up to the state whether they transition the other counties to this type of structure.
Okay, so thanks for the clarification. My first few months, the state was talking about transferring the ambulatory services to us as a county. I'm sure you remember that I opposed it, I had a resolution to oppose that, and if not opposing it, but ensuring that we get more than at least the $3.5 million, right? So we know that we gave your department as well as the city administration time to discuss this with the state legislators, but came back through the news with updates, not to the council, but through the news that we heard that we came up with a resolution. We will take it. We will get X amount every so amount of years, and then we'll receive our collections. With that, you mentioned that the $3.5 million comes from driver's licenses, right?
Car registration.
Car registrations. And so would we have received the $3.5 million regardless, or no? Or we wouldn't have?
The $3.5 million a year is onward.
It's onward, yes, correct. But would we have received that regardless if we received the ambulatory responsibilities?
No, we would not have got that.
Okay, so it was stayed with the state. Okay, and that $3.5 million came from Honolulu's car registrations?
Well, I think they weren't even going to give us that to begin with. And our argument at the time was, if you have this surcharge on car registration, the people who are driving on Oahu, that car registration surcharge for EMS should go to Honolulu EMS. And so we negotiated that $3.5 million a year going forward based on those car registrations.
Okay, thank you. And with that 3.5 moving forward, right, like onward until maybe any future negotiations, is that sustainable for the growth of the department?
Well, part of growth of the department is tied to increasing call volume. And we are seeing annually, not during COVID, but regular without COVID and currently, we are seeing increasing call volume. And increasing call volume brings increasing revenues because there's more billing. The other thing is right now, we tie our rates to the state rate, and the state in general can and does increase their rate by about 10% a year. So there's the potential for growth there. And as I mentioned earlier, there are things we are doing that we're not billing for, and I think you'll be seeing some of those proposals in the form of proposed ordinances in the coming months. But again, conservatively, an extra maybe $2 million a year, maybe as much as $6 million a year, depending. You know, we don't want to overburden people with bills for ambulances, but it is an important service, and there is a mechanism to cover it, you know, especially via insurance and no fault in these things.
Yeah, certainly. I definitely agree with that. And when I authored that resolution in 2021, and then we had that discussion in my Transportation, Sustainability, and Health Committee, we definitely highlighted all those aspects, you know, and you also mentioned about the increase in revenues and in billing so that the department would be able to get that, because right now we are kind of just letting it slide, right, or not billing for it. So, but with that, I think there could have been more support from the state after the transfer of the responsibility for ambulatory services, or ambulance, and the billing services as well, that I think it would have been great for the council, which is why I introduced that resolution before you guys went to the state, to have that assurance that the council can go back to, the council members are able to go back to their community, talk about it, so that you can share with them like how much the need is and how much more support we would have needed moving forward. And so I just want to know, moving forward, what assurances would you be able to provide the council and the communities that we serve as legislators for these types of important issues and decisions?
Well, again, based on our current monthly collections, which I believe is going to be generally stable with a slight increase with increasing call volume at $3.1 million a year, or $3.1 million a month with $37 million annually, plus the $3.5 million a year from the state, putting us at about $40,700,000 against a $40,200,000 EMS budget. I feel pretty good about that. Although, again, if we come forward with other resolutions, if these are favorable after public discussion and you know, meetings with you folks, we could actually even generate potentially more than the cost of the service to the city. So I'm comfortable where billing is at now. That's steady state. I think we have a good idea of what our revenues are going to be, but I think there's always room for improvement and more discussion.
Okay, thank you. And that tail end part is the aspect I was trying to get at. You know, when I had that committee hearing, we shared the concerns and the different amount of, I guess, financial impact that it could have, not now, maybe in the future. Who knows, like, how our city will do. But to continue to keep the council in the conversations, because we did have a public hearing about it. We are having those public discussions. But at the same time, the discussions that went across the street without any regard to the resolution or the discussions we had in my committee, and moved forward with the transfer. So I'm using that as an example from 4 years ago, I know, but it's still something that's relevant because we know that the needs change every single day, let alone year, and we need that we all respond to. And so I just want to ensure that if you move forward, that you will better the communications with all the council members in that manner.
Absolutely agree.
Thank you, Council Floor Leader Cordero. Councilmember Wire.
Thank you, Chair Mall, Director, for all the work that you're doing. I just wanted to make sure as we flesh this out, and I'll go quickly because I know we're kind of running into to other matters. Okay, so I know that we're gonna hear back about a potential evaluation of to merge or not merge, right, with HFT. When do we expect that report back? Do we know? I see you looking over to Deputy Managing Director, and sorry to put you on the spot, but if there's any specific date or information, concisely, I mean, it's not a gotcha question or anything.
Christian Jar, I'm Deputy Managing Director. And Vice Chair Wire, just to make sure I understand the question, you're asking when we will come back with a conclusion or
an analysis.
Final analysis.
Yeah.
So we're very much in the beginning stages of that process. That will be something that we'll be mapping out and thinking through over the course of the next fiscal year or so. All of these types of considerations are very complex. I don't foresee us coming back, within the next 6 months, certainly, on any sort of solution in terms of, or any sort of conclusion on that matter.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you, Deputy Managing Director. So Dr. Ireland, I'm just curious, so as we're working towards this evaluation process and then understanding the need to beef up capacity for both staffing, well-being, and then also increasing services, do we think we're matching that timeline so that when we get to the end of that analysis, we have a full picture of what a fully supported and funded department looks like in comparison to what the analysis is going to be in terms of HFD? I can, flesh it out more. Essentially, I'm just wanting to know, I think it would be ideal if by the time we get to that analysis point, we already have all the needs met in HESD, so that the analysis can be full and fair in terms of evaluating. Do you think we'll be able to get there with the budget we're getting in March, or is there more capacity we would need to be looking at?
Well, I think I said in previous hearings on the budget and just in general that we need to get to 30 ambulances in Honolulu.
Yeah.
Maybe not all 24-hour ambulances, maybe not all advanced life support ambulances, but that's incremental over, with time, because you have to fund it incrementally and you have to hire incrementally, because we don't want to generate these big vacancy holes. And I think I said 4 years ago that's a 8 to 10 year process. We did add 2 ambulances last year. I think we're going to propose to add more next year, 1 or more next year. And so that is an incremental process that does drive up costs, but at the same time, we're responding to more calls, which generate more revenue. So it's a matter of balancing it. I never want to see EMS as a way to, quote, make money for the city, like we're going to have this big surplus and then it's going to fund other programs in the city. But I do feel good about being right-sized, at least now, generally matching what we're collecting with the EMS budget, not the HESD budget, which does core and health services as well, but at least the EMS budget.
Okay. And remind me again, because my math, I've learned not to do math on the spot. So what ambulance count are we going to be at then going into the proposed budget?
Right now we have 21 ambulances that work 24 hours a day and 2 ambulances that work 12 hours a day. Okay. So 21 plus 2 is 23. And if we add 1 next year or 2 next year, and then we continue to do that for the next 4 years, we will get close to that number 30 that I was hoping for by the time the mayor's term is finished, the second term.
Okay, and then just to make sure I'm understanding, when you say next year, you mean this upcoming fiscal year, so starting
next
July?
month.
Next month.
So July.
No, that's good to hear. Just wanted to make sure on the same page. Because staffing-wise, you're saying by the end of this year, December, when you have the graduates coming out, how many ambulance would you, in theory, be able to staff with those numbers? Would it be the 24?
24 plus some paramedics and SUVs to support the ambulances. Because the other thing that we didn't really talk about, and I know time is limited, but we go on a lot of what's called dry runs, where we get there and they say, we don't need you, or we check them out and they're okay. We don't even necessarily need to send an ambulance to those calls. We could just send a paramedic and an SUV.
Okay. Okay, and I only ask because I think when we're looking at public safety and just increasing access, I think it applies to all of our districts, but I mean, we have gaps across first responder services from Oklahoma down to Kahului. And, just from our conversations in the community, and I know we did some site visits with the community before based on the inventory that was out there, there is space that could be easily accessible that I know the department's aware about, but we just had a conversation with the owner of Coral Kingdom, and they're ready and open to, city can at least go in quickly and start providing emergency services. So I just bring that up because I think that the lift is really low, but the impact and benefit to the community is really huge. And so I'm just wondering, I guess our preference would be to expedite as quickly as possible access to these types of services across all of our communities, both to have quicker response times, but also to support the well-being of our staff. And so
Completely agree. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Council Vice Chair Wire. Councilmember Tupola.
Thank you so much, Chair. Aloha, Dr. Ireland. I wanted to just kind of go along the lines of what Councilmember Cordero brought up. I remember that resolution when it came up, and it was kind of a big deal when the state relocated all of their services into the city. And I think from what we're hearing in testimony, from what we're hearing on the ground, that we need more help. I mean, as far as people being able or wanting to work in this field and having enough supplies, I think the question, just a real quick yes or no, should we or yourself or the department be advocating more for these state resources that may or may not exist? But I mean, at this point, I do think we need everything we can get. That's the question that I have, first question.
Yes, we should, and we are. And so I just recently sent a letter to the director of the health department addressing some 911 call center services to assist with unnecessary calls that are don't need an ambulance. We met with Senator Dela Cruz last year for the issue in Wahiawa with the hospital closing, and he was able to assist us with this extra $500,000. So it is something that we will and continue to advocate for where it's appropriate for funding for our services.
Thank you. And there were quite a bit of statements made in the testimonies that we all read, and all of them were in opposition. And I just needed to ask a few clarifying questions to let you tell us what your perspective is on it. I think it's only fair. One of the statements was made that there was hundreds of thousands of dollars from a new specialized medicine program that was used to buy an armored bearcat. Is that true?
So what you're referring to is the MedCat, and that the genesis of the acquisition of that resource was in the prior administration, not Mayor Blangiardi, not me. That's when that started. At the time, it was supported by the police chief at the time with a letter, as well as the State Department of Defense, Homeland Security. A federal funding was obtained to purchase an armored rescue vehicle, and that was delivered about 6 months ago. This will be used to rescue people in dangerous situations, including police officers. It's mostly for EMS safety and officer safety, but also civilian safety. We live in, unfortunately, an increasingly dangerous world. We've seen a high number of barricade incidents in the last year, and that's what it's going to be used for and has been used for. No money was diverted from city funds, from state funds. This was purely a federal grant and approved on many levels, and again, started before I came, but I was supportive of it personally.
So it has been used?
It has.
The second question I had, and this was also drawn from testimony, was whether or not, as a doctor, you've ever written personal notes for any employees. People had written it in their testimony, but I want to know from you if that's something that you steer clear away from.
So I own a medical practice. I own a few of them. One of them I don't work at, but I own it. And there are people who work at the city and state and even elected officials who are patients there. And they do get notes technically from physicians who work for me, but I have nothing to do with their care. They're afforded HIPAA privacy, and they do get apparently notes just like you would from any other doctor. I also do contract work 1 day a week in Waianae at the Waianae Coast Comprehensive Health Center because there's a huge doctor shortage on the west side. I do that so patients don't have to drive in. I'm contracted for them. I don't get anything from those patients in Waianae, but I do that. And if it's a patient who needs a note just in general, I give them a note. Whether or not they work at the city, I try not to see anybody who directly works for me, and I don't think I do. But people who are employed by me or my colleagues at Waianae Comp may write notes for people who work in our department. And I really just stay clear of that relationship because it's their business between them and their doctor.
Thank you. My next question is whether or not you have been involved in promotional processes. There are various people that talked about your involvement in the promotional processes. Do you sit in all of them, especially with the newly elected assistant chief?
I have sat on one promotional panel in the last 4 years. But in general, the promotional panels are selected from people within the department excuse me, I actually have sat in 2 promotional panels. One for district chief maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and one for assistant chief of operations. But this recent one for assistant chief of operations, we also had a leader from Queens Medical Center, a physician from Queens Medical Center on the panel, myself and one other person. So I have participated in 2 promotional panels over the last 4 years, and part of that is to make sure that they're fair and that they're done in a way that's in accordance with city HR policy. But the ones I've sat in and the ones I've seen that I haven't been involved with, it doesn't always have the outcomes that the individuals want, who maybe don't interview as well as they wanted to, but I think they're all very, very fair.
My last question is in regards to our last visit in Waianae to the site that we saw. So there was mention that there might be federal fundings for it, and then I did meet with a state agency and kind of told them about what we were looking at, and they said that we didn't have funds to do that. So do we have funds to do that or do we not? I never had a follow-up on that, but I want to know whether or not there are earmarked funds for this and whether or not you guys intend to pursue it as a respite bed center.
So we do, with HESD, have a congressionally directed funds to purchase a homeless respite facility on the island of Oahu. The problem with that particular site, I've learned since our visit, is because of its proximity to the water, inundation zone or tsunami hazard zone, we will not be able to use federal funds for the site in Waianae. I brought that to the attention of the governor's office. I had a separate meeting with them. I haven't had a chance to talk to you about that because that was just last week. They told me that they would look at what state funds might be available for the site you and I visited, because I think we all agree that having a medical respite on the west coast of Oahu would be ideal. There's a huge need. And so I'm trying to look at creative ways that we can purchase that process, but through the $9 million that we got through HUD and congressionally earmarked money will not be able to be used for that site.
Thank you. I still remain very concerned about many of the statements made in testimony, but I'm grateful that you were able to answer the questions that I did ask. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Tupola. Council Floor Leader Cordero.
Thank you. Hi, Director Ireland. In addition to that, I was just wondering how, as a director, do you get your pulse of the team? Because I know that it's difficult to have to either defend it during this public process, but what is your process to get the pulse of your team?
Well, I think we're constantly building a team. I think we have a really good team currently. It's unfortunate that the 4 people who testified, all 4 ex-employees, were not happy with my performance. I realize that anybody can always do better. I think that things, this past Monday, we had a great negotiation session with the UPW as far as improving the working conditions for paramedics and improving retention. I'm hopeful that those negotiations continue and are successful. So I'm happy with the direction the department's going. Again, I think there's always room for improvement. There's things we still need to do, but I think we have a really good team now, and I think the paramedics continue to work very, very hard through COVID and beyond. We see a light at the end of the tunnel for hazard pay, which I know our team has been waiting for. The city team's been, not me personally, but I think the folks at the city and HR and above have been working very hard to make that happen. Because, during COVID, the paramedics, as well as the other first responders, were kind of the tip of the response for people who are sick in the community. And we want to take care of our paramedics. I want to take care of our paramedics, EMTs and dispatchers, because they're really what makes the department work.
Thank you. I just hope that you have a part of your priorities being able to keep that pulse with your teams. Thank you.
One thing I'm just going to add is the separation of ocean safety, who I do miss, will actually greatly benefit EMS, because now the leadership is completely focused on our team, what EMS's needs are, and then Kurt Lager and his team can focus on the ocean safety team. And I think that separation will actually be good for both halves of the house, so to speak, going forward.
Thank you, Council Floor Leader Cordero. Councilmember Dos Santos Tam?
Thank you, Director. I just have one quick question. You know, I know that there's a debate of whether EMS and fire should be joined, but, you know, separate from that, the Police Commission exists, the Fire Commission exists, we have an Ocean Safety Commission. If EMS exists as its own department, what's your take on creating a EMS commission? Because that seems that it may address some of the concerns that were brought up today. They would have a venue to bring up these concerns.
You know, I think commissions have positive and negative aspects to them. I guess the positive aspect is, you know, they are free from potential political bias, even though they are appointed by the mayor and the council. The negative might be they may not be as responsive as, you know, one person saying you're hired or you're fired or let's do this or that. But I think it's definitely worth more discussion. I'm not particularly opposed to a commission. I think, you know, if you support your team and you're good at what you do and you bring value to the organization, then people shouldn't, let's say, fear a commission, like you're not going to get a job just because it's a commission. So I think it's worth talking about. And so we would have then 4. Maybe we should see how the Ocean Safety Commission goes first. But I'm excited for them and for what they're going to have. And if it goes well, maybe we should talk about that next year for sure.
Thank you, Councilmember Dos Santos Tam. Okay, thank you, Dr. Ireland. I did have a question for our Deputy Managing Director, if that's okay. And I know we are short on time. We've gone past our time. So I thank you for those of you who have been waiting for the following committee. But I had a question for Krishna. Thank you. And I did read through all the testimonies. I wanted to know, has the administration been made aware of, because that was, I believe, stated in some of the testimonies, or approached by any of the EMS employees regarding the concerns, and specifically you mentioned in the testimonies, morale all-time low, retaliation, questions regarding unethical behavior, conflicts of interest. Those are common things that I read in the testimonies. And so I want to know, has the administration been approached, informed? And if so, what was done? If not, then that's it. But
Chair Okimoto, thank you. Krishna Jairam, Deputy Managing Director. If I may preface this by saying that, you know, the Mayor and the Managing Director have spoken about the trust and confidence that they have in the Cabinet, and that, of course, includes Dr. Ireland. In the context of the testimony that has been submitted, as the Managing Director mentioned yesterday, and as Dr. Ireland just mentioned now, we're always aware that there's room for improvement, and we're always looking at how we can improve. So we'll certainly take a close look at this testimony and make sure that where there is areas where we can improve, we will improve. Thank you, Councilmember. And of course, we would ask you to continue supporting Dr. Ireland.
thank you, thank you. Members, any further questions? Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you for, you know, your patience again, and we've gone past our time, but, you know, members, at this time, I am inclined to defer this measure at this time, postpone it based on the concerns, not just stated in the testimonies. There was, you know, a lot of testimonies in opposition, but I also would like to wait in order to look and review the ESD's budget documents as they relate to overtime costs and the amount of uncollected bills. So at this time, the chair recommends that the action on Resolution 25-11 be postponed to a date and time to be determined by the committee chair. Any objections or reservations? Hearing none, so ordered. And I want to again mahalo Committee Chair Tolba for allowing us to go past my time. Due to the time constraints of this committee, of our committee, the chair is postponing bills 5, 7, and bill 8 that's on the agenda to be determined by the chair. Thank you. Seeing no further items, let me make sure I just cover everything. I want to mahalo everyone again for being here today, and again, Councilmember Tolba for sharing your committee time. There will be no further business. This meeting is adjourned.